Hello everyone, there are a load of playable factions in Total War Warhammer 3, ranging from really exciting with loads of mechanics to some of the outright boring. And what I want to do in this video is talk about the 5 most boring ones in my opinion. I just have to state that there, as you never know, in the future we can see some reworks, we can see some updates. We have had some pretty good updates in the past, with the Kislev one being the most notable, so let's hope we can see some pretty good updates coming in the future. I have done a worst campaigns video in the past, but this isn't about the worst, this is just about the most boring. But before that, a big thank you to our sponsor, Instant Gaming. Instant Gaming is a platform where you'll be able to buy video games at discounted rates. Looking for something new, wanted to jump into a new franchise, but there's way too many DLCs? Well, you can get really good discounts at Instant Gaming, because there's discounts on new, old titles also, alongside pretty sweet discounts on pre-orders. I'm basically waiting to be able to get some extra cash and jumping into Silent Hill F. I'm a big fan of that franchise and I can't wait to get my hands on it. I've heard it's pretty good, which is great because Silent Hill games, yeah, they've been missing for a while. Not only that, but we do have a monthly giveaway going on. Win the game of your choice. All you have to do is click on the link in the description below and sign up. You don't even have to make a purchase. Instant Gaming is a platform that I've been using myself for a fair amount of time now. Anytime I've seen like a bit of expendable cash that I can justify buying a title with for my own enjoyment, which, you know, gaming is super important. You need to have a break. This is my hobby and I think a lot of people have it the same. You might as well get the best deal possible. A big thank you once again to Instant Gaming for the sponsor. Now let's jump back into the regularly scheduled programming. Alright, we're going to start off with Lord Skrolk and Clan Pestilence. Yes, I am starting this video off with my propaganda. Clan Pestilence is a major clan, one of the big 4. So in terms of the characters at play, it's similar to Ikaklor with Clan Skryre, Snickich with Clan Eshin, and Frot with Clan Moulder. The problem is that Clan Pestilence has nothing, right? They have a primitive form of the plague mechanic that was introduced in Warhammer 2, but there's nothing to make it feel like a special playthrough. It's really weird that a major clan for the Skaven just doesn't really have that extra oomph. Sure, there's a bit of bias for me here, considering that I played Skaven on the tabletop and my competitive lists were mostly focused around Pestilence. But yeah, the Plague Monks were awesome, by the way. But a few things could easily be done just to kind of make things better. The Skaven have, especially Clan Pestilence, have a lot of plagues. Hell, some of their plagues are considered far more destructive than even the ones that Nurgle unleashes. Whereas Nurgle is, you know, biological, it can breed life and renew it and so on. The Skaven stuff is more like anthrax. It literally just burns away everything, including themselves. I'd be happy with just the plague mechanic with a few changes to the actual plagues, and that's it. Something like that would work perfectly, and it's something that I've been campaigning for since the plague mechanic was introduced in Warhammer 3. If Creative Assembly want to go a little bit further with that, there is even DLC that they could do specifically for Clan Pestilence, because back in 6th edition there was a Lustria list, and yeah, there was some pretty cool stuff, like the Plague Pontifexes and so on. I don't know if Creative Assembly are going to be going back to a Skaven DLC after they eventually do Thankful. Don't really know how many DLCs are left, and, you know, given recent times, it just feels like it's less and less each day. But I think it would be a massive disservice to the Skaven as a whole. Given how popular Skaven were in Warhammer 2, they had a lot of DLCs and free content, for them not to just be complete. We need Thankful, we need an update for Skrolk just to have plagues at the very least, an update to Queek to actually make him decent. And honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to something nice for Clan Rictus and Tretch Craventail. They don't need a rework. That's the great thing. The Skaven don't need a rework. They are perfect in terms of play. They just need extra little oomph to separate the factions a little bit, just to make everything more replayable. Durfu's a character that I just can't wrap my head around. He doesn't really have anything special about him. Sure, his faction effects are quite good and provide tree men with quite a lot of abilities, and it does seem like it just kind of pushes you just to use a lot more tree spirits, but that's more of Dryker's thing more than anything else. It's odd, right? The thing is, yes, Orion's the same in that regard, but Orion at least has that mechanic where you will constantly get upkeep reductions and your armies will just be relatively cheap to the point of being free, even going to be free if you so wish. The Wood Elves are in a pretty weird spot because their camping is so passive. It's really one of those end turn simulators, but Durfu just kind of feels left out there. Every other lord has something fun about them. I don't know what they could do with Durfu, in all honesty. They could do some new mechanics. They could just implement dryads with bows. That's something that was mentioned in the 8th edition army book, and then nothing came about it. At least you'll have access to more trees. But I feel like most people fondly remember, or well, not so much fondly, fear him from Warhammer 1, because Durfu was incredibly aggressive. And that's it. That's not much that can be said here. I think the Wood Elves just need a general passover once again. Not a full-blown rework, but a update. Kind of similar to what we had for the Lizard Men and the Tomb Kings. Yes, I know that the patch wasn't great, but the update was phenomenal. I like the Tomb King update. It's really, really good. Sure, the AI is kind of dead at the moment, but I feel like something like this could really help out with the Wood Elves. They had a really good update for Warhammer 2. The map's gotten a lot more larger now, and it just feels like we need a little bit more now just to kind of get things rolling. I don't want to devalue the Twisted and the Twilight. I think it's a fantastic DLC, but I think overall the Wood Elves need a little bit of a push. And I actually said this in a video recently too. Okay, I'm going to talk to you about Skarbrand now, because despite the fact that Omens of Destruction was fantastic for Khorne, and I mean seriously, really, really good, Skarbrand didn't get any attention. And it's very noticeable. There's a bit of a weird thing where the momentum with Skarbrand just feels very, very odd. There's a lot of settlements that are far away, you can't really keep the ball rolling. Whereas if you're going to play Khorne, it's easy just to go, well, Arbal or Skulltaker. Skarbrand's a really popular character. I feel like he should have had something similar to Taurox, where he could just rampage. It really fits with his lore, because, like, I mean, he is a mindless bloodthirster. There's nothing really too big about it. He doesn't really speak that much either. Something like that would have really helped him out, and I just feel like Skarbrand is boring compared to the other two characters. Which is kind of odd when you think about it, because we've had two other Chaos-focused DLCs. Shadows of Change 2.0 really gave a lot to Kairos and made him incredibly fun, to the point that I see Kairos as like a really enjoyable character. This is coming from someone who generally just does not like Tzeentch. Then we've got the idea of what's happened to Kugath. Kugath basically has his same launch mechanic, but he's just got the super plagues now, right? And that really adds in a lot of flavor, because that's really attached to his lore. I think when lore becomes a mechanic, it really, really elevates the character into a lot more of a fun space. Skarbrand just kind of feels empty. And I really would like to see just a little bit of a push there. I think just literally copying the Rampage mechanic for Taurox the Brass Bull, considering they're both very closely aligned in terms of like mentality, would really make this character a lot more fun. This is more of a mechanic tied to one specific character rather to the faction as a whole, but I feel like your named character should be elevated above all your generics, even the exalted demons and stuff, which is what happened to Kairos. I think a lot of people look to Kairos as a really fun character to play. I mean, sure, he's only basically the only Tzeentch character at this point. Changeling doesn't really count, but still, he's very, very fun. Alright, we're going to talk about Grand Cafe now, and we're going to talk about Zhao Ming. By far, my favorite Cathayan dragon so far. I absolutely love his style, his design, and I really can't wait for him to have a miniature on the tabletop, because I can't wait to paint him. His sister was fantastic. I can only imagine how fun it's going to be to paint him. The problem with Zhao Ming right now is, while he does have some stuff, you know, he can benefit a lot more from Ogre Mercenaries and so on, the mercenary system isn't too great. It's kind of pushing towards a lot more cargo, and really the unique mechanic is shared with his sister, which is defending the Great Bastion. He definitely needs to have something new to make him a bit more elevated, either an increased robust version of the mercenary mechanic, where you'll be able to not buy limited troops of the ogres and just have like the full Ogre Kingdoms roster, provided that you own the Ogre Kingdoms or its associated DLC, or give him a very stylized trade mechanic. He just needs to have something to bring him a little bit out there. His sister should only be the one defending the Great Bastion, and even then there's issues with the Great Bastion, because you should be able to lock that up. Yuan Bo has a really cool mechanic on his own style. It's kind of disappointing, right? It's one of those weird things, because obviously Cafe needed two lords at the start of the game. Kislev has that issue, but I think that Kislev has something that ties them both together, because Katerin and Kostaltin have access to that whole thing with supporters and so on, well, the new version, but you know what I mean. This one kind of feels like it was kind of left out, and it's a massive shame. I think Cafe is really, really popular, and I feel like he could be a lot more popular too. You know what would be kind of cool, considering that he's such a friend of the ogres? If you can vassalize the ogres, you'll be able to build up a building that are kind of like a cult, but it will give you global recruitment of all the ogres that are available to them, and as many as you want. I think something like that would work really well, because then you could harmonize the ogres with the Cathayans, and you could have something pretty tasty. The idea here is units being used in multiple rosters work, clearly. We've seen that with Chaos a lot. We're going to talk about an honorable mention. This is Malekith, and the reason why is because he appeared on my worst list. He's just in a weird spot. All the other Dark Elves have something, including Morathi, even though it's relatively minor. Malekith just feels really, really odd as the leader of the Dark Elves. He really needs to have something there, something to incentivize the pushback to Ulthuan. He should have some domination over other Dark Elves. Well, not including his mother, that's the other way around. He should feel like the Witch King. Right now, he just feels like a generic Dark Elf Lord, and it's kind of sad. Naturally, my speculation about the Dark Elves getting something in Tides of Torment was wrong, because that ended up being Norska, so I'm hoping something happens. And the thing is, the Dark Elves can't really get another DLC. I don't feel there's enough to justify a DLC, but the Dark Elves certainly need an update, not just Malekith. They need to be brought in line with Warhammer 3, just to kind of finish them off. There's so many cool characters and so many cool units. I personally really like Dark Elves. I've painted so many of them on the tabletop too. Something really needs to be done. And here we are with our last one, Grimgor. You thought I was going to say Daniel, didn't you? Before anything, cool your jets. I know some of you are angry typing now, but Grimgor is supposed to be like the biggest and baddest orc. He doesn't really feel that way. It's weird. Grimgor has always been very, very in the lore. Hell, he was one of the main characters for the End Times and the Storm of Chaos, and yet he just feels like a generic orc. Sure, he does have some bonuses there. Post-battle loot for all armies and extra upkeep reductions for Black Orcs and bigger units for all armies, but there is no mechanic for him. It's really strange. Technically, Azag has something because he's got the crown, and all the others have something for them to make them quite unique, yet Grimgor just feels like Grimgor. He should have something like a crumping mechanic to go and destroy other races and stuff. It's something that was expected for Omens of Destruction, yet the Greenskins didn't really get too much until patches later on, where Scarsnake was improved upon a little bit, and obviously at the launch of Omens, Wurzag, my favorite Greenskin, got so many new toys to play around with, and a really nice update. It's kind of sad that Grimgor just got ignored. Maybe they're waiting for this hypothetical End Times DLC, as Grimgor does become very active during the End Times. He becomes the incarnate of beasts. I know it sounds weird, but it's this is like ignore the plot points of the End Times, right? And if that's the case, that can be justified, but it would be nice just to know if there's actual plans for him for the future, because it would just be nice to have some update to the biggest and baddest orc around. But yeah, this is my list. I know some people would say other characters and so on. I honestly think that Grimgor was like the big one here, mostly because of expectations regarding that character. The great thing is, like, we've been getting good patches. The Tomb Kings, for example, I would not say need anything updated, barring maybe just like the Confederation with Katep and so on for Cetra, and something for Arkan in the future, but the race is functionally done. And it's a great thing, it's a good patch. Yeah, sure, there's been some issues with that patch with AI, but playing as the race, I'm going specifically by playing as those races, playing as those factions. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's start a bit of a discussion. I know there's going to be a decent amount of discussion here regarding characters. I'm trying to get back into like normal content cadence. It's just been kind of weird lately, as you guys can imagine. But hey, I have a tentative completion date for the move, which, yeah, has been taking a long time. Hopefully that gets sorted soon, because I really want to get up and running and have everything sorted. Plus, I just want to like sort out with the cats, because it's always weird when you move with animals, especially cats. They're so freaking picky. I mean, you guys seen how my cats are on stream. But yeah, have a great day, guys, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.